Still going. I should be live in a second.
Oh, it's 17. Yeah.
All right.
There it is.
All right. Good evening, everybody.
Hello.
We are live on YouTube right now. Weavingspiders, welcome. We have a very special guest this evening, Miguel Conner from Aeon Byte Gnostic Radio. If you don't know, now you know, and you should know. Super excited to have him on such short notice. Miguel, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me on.
It has been I wanted to get in touch with you a long time ago, but I'm glad the stars have aligned and we have made this happen. So, and let's kill the tilts here. We also have Snake Jones joining us. Hey, buddy, good to see you, or see your wizard. Well, I'm going to refrain because I don't have anything clever right now to say and witty. So, looking good there in that photo, and our other partner in crime, Mr. There he is. There's Snake. Good to see you, pal. And we have our main man here, James Jim Maiden. How you doing, boss? Let me kill this music so everybody can hear us proper. There you go. All right.
Hey, everybody.
There you go.
Glad to be here.
We're glad to see you this week.
Nice to see you, Miguel.
Good to see you too, as always.
Catching him mid sip.
Yeah,
there,
he
buddy.
waited. He waited for that.
Yeah, you did. Okay, so I guess we'll start out. How's everybody's week? Good? Everybody doing all right?
It's interesting.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I think many of us have been, I personally, we've on the show, we've discussed, the recent political nonsense that's, been transpiring because it's almost impossible to, ignore. But I feel like we've reached a point where I guess I'm so sick of it, and I know we've all been, I don't want to speak for everybody here, but for crying out loud, it's just been taxing on the soul, taxing on, just everything. So I feel like there's been almost a bit of a shift here. I just feel like there's been a shift, fundamental shift in the vibration, so to speak. And I'm cool with this. I'm actually happy about this. We shall see with the crazy, goofy things, executive orders, so to speak. But we're not going to focus on that tonight, because unless it's pertinent or what have you to discuss. But I'm looking at it, I guess, the whole changeover as a just the way I looked at it with Trump, as much as I couldn't stand him as a human being, personally. Give it a chance, I suppose, but I think, that's kind of, it is what it is, whatever. What do you guys think? Any optimism, or just kind of more of the same?
Who doesn't like an oligarchy? It's great.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's a cryptocracy. I mean, I've been trying to, mash a good, solid, descriptive for this. I really don't, of what this actually could be, but I think it's quite the mashup.
Now I am one. Great.
Right? The communitarianism is in full effect. But Miguel, what's your take? I mean, I don't want to put you in a hole here and not have the shovels to or the means to get you out. But yeah.
I don't know. I don't want to say everything, because everybody's got to have an opinion. It almost seems that's the whole point.
Right.
Everybody's got to have an opinion on social media or YouTube, and that's how we get more fragment in a take. So that's why in my show I try to stay as far away from anything political or anything, because I feel that's the trap.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I think as Snake said, we're still in an oligarchy. The empire never ended. The hologram shifts and you put a different face, but that's not going to save brown people in the Middle East or the middle class and the lower classes from continued disintegration, the surveillance state, the existential despair, and all that. I guess the difference is I think in the past, they tried to suppress us through the consumer society, through the propaganda. I think now in this age, they're simply trying to break our collective psyche and create 340 million psychos. I think and it's pretty smart. I mean, if I was in charge, just break the minds of the collective mind of the civilization. See how that goes. So,
right.
Yeah. Good job, Archons. Good job.
Right. Well played, right? Well played. Diabolical as all hell, but well played, sir. Well played, sirs. But yeah, and I that's one of the reasons why I was drawn to your work and your show. You know, years ago, I want to say I don't even remember when it was. Doesn't really matter. But I've been a fan of your work and your content for at least 4 years now, and you've helped turn me on to Jason Horsley and so many great researchers, authors, just so many great people, and I want to personally thank you for that right here, right now. Not to be a nerd and whatever, but hey, we need to pay homage and where respect is due, right?
Yeah, just doing a little service work for what I can do to help others find their own light. So,
right.
I mean, I think the idea of, I think why these are Gnostic times and why the Gnostics seem to resonate is when you read the Nag Hammadi library, it's easy to see that the whole thing is weird and psychedelic as these myths are. They're just a treatise on mental health and the breakdown of sanity, so and how to become sane. I think that's why Jung loved the Gnostics, because they were really talking about the collective, the heavenly mind, and each of our minds just completely breaking down. And I think we do live in times when everybody's having basically some sort of nervous breakdown. So to me, I mean, as much as I don't want anybody to get angry, I mean, 2020 was my best year, mentally, financially, physically. It's almost like the insanity that I saw the world, suddenly everybody else started seeing it. I don't think that anything changed. I think just the veil got lifted. So whatever happened, it's now people see with the world that I've seen for so many years, and now hopefully we can do something about it.
Thank you. Because I mean, the black pill shit is obnoxious, but it needs to happen to get to where we need to go. I mean, to some degree. Now
you got to take the black pill to take the white pill. You've got to just lose everything. What did Tyler Durden say in Fight Club? It's only after you've lost everything that you can do anything. You've got to see the horror, face the horror, take that pill. Or as I say, take that black pill suppository, shove it up your rectum of reality, let it dissolve, and then comes the good times.
Exactly. And it's like, it's better with because we're going to be over a barrel, and 95% of the population, we're not going to have the lube we need. And it's just the way it is. So, I mean, oh man, you're a stellar teller and with a spectacular vernacular, Sir Miguel. And I very much appreciate you, man. Seriously, it's just
no worries.
Wordsmith, man. Love it. But I think it's super valid, because I mean we have to focus, not focus necessarily, but we need to look at the positives. Like you said, 2020, this crazy, this, that, and the other. But like you said, best year you've had from, you know, a number of different standpoints. And also I feel like, you know, I can also, I can, that resonates with me as well, where we got this show finally rolling. We finally got, you know, and I don't look at it just like, oh, that narrow lens of, oh, we got the show, big deal, you know what I mean? But it is a big deal because wheels were spinning for a long time. I mean, we've had, like music-wise, my band just kind of went, you know, hiatus, everything, and then I can relate to ex-bandmates, or, you know, that are in current bands, very successful, that were touring, had multiple tours canceled, you know, but that's neither here nor there. There's a number of positives, and I think one of the big positives, just like you said, was being able to take a step back, detach, if you're able to have that critical thinking. And I think January 6th was a wake up for a lot of people. Like, for example, I witnessed my 72-year-old mother. For the first time ever, I got to watch, you know, on whatever channel, Fox News, whatever was on, because she does fall into that, you know, category. And I'll never forget having Twitter on my phone. I'm like, oh man, this is insane. This is ridiculous, blah, blah, blah. Now, I don't want to talk too much, you know, dwell on this January 6th BS, but it was the first time that she actually got to witness a psyop of epic proportions, you know what I mean? And just so much fuckery that she literally admitted, wow, this is outrageous, you know what I mean, for the first time. And, you know, it's like you can only shake a person, you know, it's like you get excited once you finally get woke up to the you know, just the friggin' in the riggin', so to speak, right? And you're just like, okay, well, you want to shake people like a born again Christian, right? Like, come on, you guys need to know, you know, like we've discussed this with a lot of people, where it's just like, you got to be careful, you know, with that. And then with the Q infiltration and all that nonsense, like, it's just all the research that has been done, legitimate research, has been essentially, you know, it's just been written off, you know, it's written off like, here's some nonsense, like what, we shouldn't question Big Pharma and their motives now because, you know, for the jab, you know, these little things. Now, I don't want to get off on too much of this direction that I see I'm steering it, and I apologize, gentlemen, and to the chat.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about January 6th because my wife is into Q. So needless to say, I won't be getting laid the rest of the year. So that's all I have to say, unless
I love you, Miguel.
Unless there's a drop or something, but that's it.
I feel you, buddy.
Yeah, that's the way I see it. As a man, I put life into very simple terms. That's it.
Amen. And January 6th will not be brought up after I just mentioned that. January 6th. So it's over, guys. If he
watches this show, I'll be getting the divorce papers.
All right, so
hopefully she doesn't.
We'll set it to private then. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so let's discuss a few things here. So what have you been? I want to ask Miguel, what have you been focusing on? Like, what have you, as of late? So let's say over the last couple months, what have you been into per se, like personally, from an occult esoteric? What have you been studying? What are you into? Is there anything that is, you know, really caught your attention, and, you know, you're eager to maybe share, or you're working on, or anything like that? I'm just curious, just to pick your brain for a second here.
Oh man, I mean, lately, believe it or not, I've been watching a lot. I've been rewatching The Sopranos. I think it's probably the most occult show in the world when you look at it. First time, and it was never one of my favorite shows. I enjoyed it. Something told me I needed to watch it. It was just like somewhere out of nowhere or something said, you need to rewatch the series. And then I'm like, oh my God, it is steeped in the occult conspiracy theory, but it's very subtle. And also I realized the whole show is about, like the Gnostic gospel, it's about mental insanity. I mean, it's all Tony Soprano being a narcissist, manic depression, anxiety, Chrissy and the drug addiction. And I realized, I was like, God, Tony Soprano and Carmilla, they are like America's first archetypal couple. Everything is in there. But that's here and there. Obviously, from another standpoint, I've been researching a lot of Carl Jung. Yeah, a lot of the not mental, but psycho-spiritual is Stephen Heller. That's both mental, but also spiritual, because obviously in Gnosticism, my mind is the mind of God, is what Paul talks about in the letters. So I think it's the same thing as 2020. I'm trying to optimize and tweak and get my mind and my heart aligned. I mean, as I tell people, the battle is going to be won from within. As
Nice.
Peter Gabriel saying in the Carpet Crawlers, you got to get in to get out. There is no outside savior or January 6th or Biden or Trump or Q, or it's got to be from within, and it's got to be all of us, and really facing who we are as people, and stop projecting our fears and our anger and our agendas on others. So it sounds maybe it sounds exciting, but it's a very quiet, contemplative life, and I think that's what it would be nice if everybody started doing that more, because I think that's where the solution lies ultimately.
And I
wish I had better news or something more exciting.
No. I think it's great because it's a time. It feels like, with January, Janice, looking back and also looking forward. And I just really briefly want to touch on your Jung, statement there. The Red Book, for example, like I've gotten back into it, and I want to say maybe 2 months ago, I was reading the first part, right, of it. I can't think of the name, but I know you know what I'm speaking of. And I was kind of in a more philosophical, not philosophical, I'm sorry, more like a spirit, wanting to get in touch with, spiritual, not ism, because, geez, there's so many loaded, stupid words here. Okay, so my cousin is he runs a church in Alaska. And he's an apologist, what have you, whatever. But he was always into Lynch. I remember him reaching out to me in like early 2000s, and he was doing filmmaking and stuff. And he was, loving Sigaros. We would connect on that level, with really obscure, cool artsy stuff. And I'm like, oh, Matt, this is great. I didn't know we had these in common. We're, my second cousin. We haven't spent much time together, but this is great. We have so much in common. I'm a huge Lynch fan back then. Still am. I almost wore my It's 7 p.m. Do you know where your freedom is, Dr. Jacoby shirt tonight for you, but I've worn it a few too many times as of late. Got my One-Eyed Jacks hoodie right here. But no, I mean, but reading Jung, after speaking with Matt and then, just getting his take and inviting him on for the show later on with Brisson, just to kind of get a juxtaposition there and just, dialectical argument going and blah, blah, blah. So I'm reading Jung, Red Book first, and I literally am going through it, and I had this moment of where just tears are just pouring down my face. And I'm having this amazing experience where I want to share it with everybody, but it's too personal and I can't, you know what I mean? It's one of those things where it's like, nope, you have to be ready personally, not ready necessarily, but you have to want to pick it up, read it, and actually, it's a point in your life where we all have these times and moments. So I got to it, and I remember not being unable to put it down, and just I'd get it to a certain point and just tears, just uncontrollable, and I just like this, and being raised, mind you guys, in a born-again Christian atmosphere where I was forced to go to church. I was forced to go to parochial Racine Christian, for example, you know what I mean? Where it's from kindergarten through third grade until I got, kicked out, not kicked out, but, having to write 1,000 times, I will not be, speak blah, 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 like on some Bart Simpson shit. For literally, I'll never forget this, guys. I said, I was about a minute late getting into my second grade class, and the principal, Mr. Van Swall, yep, calling you out, he was down the hallway, and I remember saying, heard the bell ring, and I said, uh-oh, looks like I'm farty. Okay. Oh, I'm funny.
Oh, instead of tardy.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm in second grade, for crying out loud. So I remember saying that, and I must have said it a little bit too loud, or the reverb just carried all the way down, and I hear, David, come down here now, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, oh, what? Like, it must have been the curse word? What is going on here? He calls me down there. We don't speak like that here. I was like, what did I... I knew what I said, but I'm like, geez, am I supposed to? What the heck, dude? And I had to, and that was like my second or third offense. You know what I mean, for just saying silly shit. So yeah, I'm having to write 1,000 words for that, and it's those little things right there that just burn you as a kid, and you're just like, you know what, fuck off, like all of this stuff. And how many times are you guys gonna pass this plate around? You know what I mean, and ask for money, and at during church service and this, that, and the other. So just to have that experience with, and I haven't hated Christianity, but I'll tell you what, forcing a kid to go to church and grounding him if he doesn't until, age 13, 14, I was pretty quick to get a satanic Bible. I was, and, that kind of thing, and just rebel outright and, listening to the Dead Kennedys at 13. Yeah, like, and deicide. So, I mean, you go your routes. But the point is what I experienced there, and I go back to the Bible and all that, and find value, find goodness in there, and can pick things out. It's great, but the young just moved me in such a way that I still don't have words for it. Clearly, I'm talking in circles here like a jag. So I mean, it's like, I don't know if Jim or Snake, if you've had an experience with young like that, or have had the chance to check it, like the Red Book out, or even, but I think the Red Book, wouldn't you agree, Miguel, would be his interpretation on, I don't know if it'd say interpretation necessarily on scripture, but I feel like it's his.
It's his vision. Jung had,
right.
You might say he had a, right before his falling out with Freud, and probably right as, before and during World War I, he had this terrible psychotic breakdown, and he basically told himself, I'm going to find out what's on the other side. And he basically forced himself to have these visions. And these visions were they were definitely supernatural, because while he was having this breakdown, which he would eventually create the 7 Sermons to the Dead, the Black Book, and the Black Books and the Red Book, there was paranormal stuff going in his house. Things would move, doors would knock, people would see vision. So he definitely tapped into something very powerful. He would call it the collective unconscious, but it's his expression of how he was able to go into the imaginal world and basically find his soul. And there was, his images, his dreams, or his insights, and basically all of Jungian therapy started from that. That was his platform, what he would show others how to do it. I mean, I think what happened to you is, I think what happens to all of us as children, they try to break our souls because that's a system, or they try to bury our souls, or they eventually tell us we have no souls in the scientific world, and that's how we are become allegedly good, obedient robots and cogs in the system. And Jung's desire was to show each person that we all had souls, we all had avenues into the outer realms, and we were all unique in our vision and our art and what we had to offer to the world. So I think that's probably what happened to you. You were just reminded, I have a soul, I matter, the other 7 billion people matter, and we're all amazing. And no matter what they tried to do to us as kids, what culture did to us, we're going to be all right.
Yeah, and pull out of that Stockholm syndrome, and hopefully start to break that epigenetic, slave state that we're so all of us have, deep within us. And yeah, I think that's about right. I mean, I've always been in touch personally with psychedelics. I had experimented early with LSD, blah, blah, blah. Had a bad trip, after about 5 times, and then that was like, okay, I'm taking some years off of this because I literally had awful panic attacks to the point where, like, I made the mistake of going to my shrink and be like, yep, I told him the truth, at 19 years old. And he was like, well, let's try Xanax bars. I had no idea about benzodiazepines at that juncture, So, and I was coming from a straight edge, hardcore, kid background, right? So I remember I would just start freaking out at work about my credit. You know what I mean? I'm like, what is going on? Like, what? And I would literally have to go to the bathroom and freak out. And I was working at a car dealership at the time. And I remember like the name Gordy, well, I don't know, shit. The name of the car dealership, the namesake was in the bathroom when I went in there to have a freak out. And he's doing lines of blow off of the, no joke, and this happened multiple times, but whatever, I'm not trying to out anybody, but it's just like, what world am I in? As I'm like going in the stall to like try and gather myself. But anyway, it was just like, that's how bad it got. And then taking a couple Xanax bars just seemed to make me want to get in bed in fetal position even harder, or longer. It's just awful drugs that they'll give you for that. But my shrink, I'll never forget him saying, well, what do you think happens to people that use LSD and blah, blah, blah? Look what happened in the 60s and 70s after a while. They were jumping out of windows. I mean, he just made it sound so awful and ridiculous, you know what I mean? That it's just like, oh, God. All that aside, psilocybin, mushrooms, what have you, those have been the safe alternative for when I do but when I want to, go there, so to speak. Recovering addict situation, I've had issues with that as well. I don't want to speak for anybody else, but that's another thing I've resonated with you personally on a level when I hear you speak about these sorts of things. And you always seem to give me a little boost, from the book, because I didn't really go to the NA route. This is how I kicked. Honestly, I went cold turkey off of methadone, 200 milligrams a day for a long time. And
wow.
I meditated, and I didn't even know how to properly meditate, but I'd use binaural tones. And this is 2012 was when I officially kicked it. And I said to myself, I'd run out of money. I had literally just was the worst, just in my worst state ever, obviously. I couldn't even crawl up the stair. It would take me 30 minutes to crawl up the stairs type situation. But I got to a point where I said to myself, it was almost like a mantra, in hindsight, where I need to feel this because I've hurt so many of my loved ones. My marriage failed. I've betrayed my closest friends in some situations. Aaron pulled in the chat. What's up, robot? I love you. He was around for this. The thing is that was like my mantra getting through this, and I couldn't even eat ice chips, you guys. Like, I was having seizures. I called 911 myself 3 times during this 8-day period.
Methadone is hardcore.
Yes, but for some reason, and I easily could have made a phone call to ease my pain, if you know what I'm saying. Like, somebody would have come to my aid, like, yo. But no, I purposely kind of locked myself in and suffered through it. And it was the best thing I ever, because you got to be sick and tired of being sick and tired. It's that rock bottom, that's legit.
That
So, I mean, it really is. And other people will come to me. I don't know about you, Miguel, Snake. I don't know for some advice, because you've done counseling, Snake. And it's like, well, you just know, we kind of know pretty quickly whether or not this is a worthy, endeavor to it's always a worthy endeavor to help. Okay. Right. But I think you guys know where I'm going here with that. Is this person going to take this seriously? Are they ready to actually stop? Or is this just, baby steps until they get to the sick and tired of sick and tired, If you guys want to expound on that at all.
I never stopped drinking and using. I just started doing something else.
That's what's so great about
when you, in 2014, when I caught on to your work, I mean, God, I went through a really amazing discipline at the recovery house with the big book and everything like that. Manly P. Hall's coming out on YouTube. You got, what's his name, Dale, putting that stuff out. So I'm like I have a routine of reading 2 to 3 chapters of this big book a day, reading to newcomers, intense, like discipline. I'm doing 15, 16 meetings a week. Just like you, David. I'm just like balled up in the corner. I just don't want to hurt people I love anymore. It's a complete mental breakdown. I mean, step one can be, I admitted I was powerless of a lot of things. It could be empire, for God's sakes, you know. Step two, can you believe a power greater than ourselves can restore us to sanity, you know? I found a lot of power greater than myself. Like right now it's like within. This is what I got. This is like you described, Miguel. I'm looking within, man, for real. You know, but I mean, all the material that came out at that time. So I'm like, this is the synchronicitism, whatever. It's amazing. Like you got your works coming out, Miguel. Yeah. And it just lined up perfectly. And you guys made so much available to guys like us. And the Nagamati was scary at first.
Ooh.
So drawn to it, and I wanted to know more. And that's why I said earlier when I first listened into your podcast and their great intros, they scared me. Cause I'm like, this is really free spiritual stuff here. And you know, yeah, dude, I think we all have a common bond. It is that mental breakdown. It's that insanity. We've all been like, the universe laid it out for us. They gave us that chance. And
now the world's going through it. And I should say real quick, and then please continue that. Speaking of Jung, Bill W. does credit Jung with giving him step 2 and 3. So he's got his hands even in AA.
I suspect Manly P. Hall's a ghostwriter of that book, but definitely Jung was involved. And yeah, I mean, wow, the world is going through it. I would always say, like, man, the White House needs to go through the 12 steps or something, man. They got to
American population. Jesus. Every blue check out there.
Thank you.
Every corporate personage, every corporate entity needs to go through a 12-step program.
For real. It's the 12 step is, that's what they said. I studied that book for 3-4 years intensely, and it's real simple. It's that 12th step, which is the only thing they ever found to bring anyone recovery, which is the definition being recovered from a hopeless state of mind and body. Never mentions alcohol or anything. It's that spiritual experience. You know, as our culture becomes so desperate for a spiritual experience, I mean, you were describing earlier, being in church as a kid. I mean, that's not a spiritual experience. That's what we're looking for. We don't even know it. And, you know, drugs and alcohol make sense, especially when you're in a desert of non-spirituality. You just want it. The soul is calling, I think. Like I like what you said earlier, Miguel. And you're listening. So
they push drugs too much to be for fun and for a party. You know, like people take mushrooms and have a spiritual experience and don't realize it because they're so messed up on 2 or 3 other things. You know, like I think that you can use drugs to get to a spiritual place, but you really need discipline in order to do that. Like you can't just jump out and like I took Savia one time and and it was something I bought at the store and I, you know, smoked it and it was like not the way you're supposed to take it. But I found out when I went there to the place, there was an empty classroom because I wasn't allowed to be there right yet. And you're supposed, like, I guess the way that you're supposed to take it is chew on the leaves, you know, it's like 400 leaves over a course of time. And then it comes on and it's a long experience. But when you smoke it, it just like goes straight to your head and it jumps you right in. And it's definitely a place to learn, but not like that, not a party.
Well, I think with drugs, it's as what Jordan Peterson and Joseph Campbell and others said, men are not being initiated in this culture. Nope. And I think drugs are fine if you're initiated and you have like a hierophant. I mean, if you're, whether it's army, martial arts, you need a guide. So with drugs, you would need somebody, a shaman, or, you know, with DMT, you get a shaman to show, all right, you're going into these spiritual worlds, these higher states of consciousness he guided. But if you let us guys just go at it alone, a lot of times some people are fine, or might have good friends, but a lot of us just lose it, like me. I mean, and my friends and I didn't know what the hell we were doing. We're just throwing shit in our veins and mouths and all that. So I think a lot of it is the problem of initiation in this culture. Lack of, sorry.
No, yeah, that's extremely valid. I mean, and Peterson is demonized by it's ridiculous. I mean, just for spitting some truth and just truth that nobody wants to, oh, that's inconvenient.
And how great did he caught himself a pill addiction. I thought that was amazing when I found that out. It's like, go Jordan.
We're all human, yeah.
Got initiated.
Yeah. Well, you know what they say, a drug addiction is not a moral issue. It's completely separate. So, I mean, I won't judge Rush Limbaugh or a Hollywood artist or actor or rock star, because I know it's completely separate from who they are.
Exactly.
I heard Obama smoked crack, and I was like, yes, I like this guy.
Did he smoke crack? I thought he just smoked weed.
Or coke. I thought it was coke.
It's crack.
That's pretty rad.
Now we got the Bidens in there smoking crack too. It's like,
yes. All right, Hunter.
Call me, boy. I will sponsor you, dude.
I love it. Just one thing in the chat real quick. We got from Aaron Polda. We got overdosing is a huge problem. People look for the effect of the drug instead of using it as a catalyst to let your mind go on a path. And that's very, very true. I mean, if we look back, I remember, you guys remember Perry Farrell advocating for heroin back in his Porno for Pyro days? I don't know if anyone...
Really?
Yeah. I remember.
Was he clean and sober? Was he clean at the time?
Oh, no. He was totally all about it. And I think it was when that Tahitian, see, I love, I'm a music, just absolute junkie. And I kind of have that memory retention nonsense where I just can't, I have so many bands, albums, that kind of shit. And these guys can.
Peripheral.
Say that again, Jim?
Perry Farrell is peripheral.
There you go. Just like he's got that Kaufman disease. Andy Kaufman. Ugh. I'm not even going to go there. Okay. So, what's in a name? Okay. So, but basically, I remember him advocating for it, and I saw it on, I think it was like MTV News. It was one of those breaks. I think he was talking to maybe John Norris. Good Lord, I can't remember. I believe I remember the names. John Norris and what was the other? Kurt Loder. That was it.
Yep.
And it was for the I feel like it might have been the Porno for Pyro's second record, because the first one was a great record with Pets and all those jams. I think it was the Tahitian Moon one or something like that. But yeah, I'll never forget him saying, "Yeah, I just wanna," and he was like just like nodding almost into the camera. It was just embarrassing, But he was talking about, I really believe heroin just opens up, blah 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 blah, and this that, and just totally advocating for it, which, is, in my opinion, at that juncture, it's probably very irresponsible because of the, the kids watching, and heroin isn't great. I mean, look,
heroin is involved in so many great musicians. They're like,
oh sure,
so many people like it. Like it must unlock some path for the genius to pop in and use them.
What do you think? It's like a postmodern shamanistic kind of thing going on with in a creative sense, from an artist standpoint. What do you think about that, Miguel? That's interesting.
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously, these entheogens will release something, will open the channels of communication, and but again, I think what did a Jungian therapist also said too is that he had a different take on it, but it said it brings up your shadow. And your shadow we think a shadow is something bad. It's not always bad. It can be something good. It's stuff that you've repressed, and it could be images, songs, things you want to do that you weren't allowed to do as a child, but it's all those things that needs to come up. And alcohol and drugs are a great way of just letting it all out. That's why some of us, we drink and suddenly we had this great personality. We could talk, we could do poetry because everything was coming out to the surface. The problem is most normal people will integrate these things that come out into their ego or their daily persona With alcoholics, we will suppress it right back the next day. And that causes just an immense amount of damage to be without those energies. So then we get ourselves into a spiral, and then the shadow comes out more. It starts manifesting in destructive ways because we just can't handle or we can't wait it. So you get into this vicious cycle. So yeah, higher self, shadow, whatever it is. But it's something that we just unfortunately can't handle, and certainly can't handle alone.
Right. And I wanted to ask you this while we have you. Okay, so I don't know if you've heard of Dr. Shakuntala Modi. She wrote a book called Remarkable Healings. She's written about 3 books, and I have 2 of them, Remarkable Healings and Memories of God and Creation. Now, she's an Indian psychologist, and she actually, I believe the Mysterious Universe guys, shout out to Ben and Aaron, did an episode on this book specifically back in 2018. I believe it was in September of 2018. Now, this episode basically blew my mind so hard that I immediately got on and ordered the book Remarkable Healings due to the... she would basically hypnotize these people. She's not a Christian, mind you. She doesn't come from any religious, background type situation. So she's working with schizophrenics and blah, blah, blah. And she's just like, well, I'm going to try some hypnotherapy and regression and this, that, and the other. So she starts working with it. And all of a sudden, she starts discovering that all of these people with no religious backgrounds whatsoever, just like her, have a very similar story. And that similar story would be, these souls are coming out and speaking to her as either demons, whatever you want to call them, from whatever religious, you know what I'm saying. So basically, I guess we could call them negative spirits, for lack of a better descriptive. And they would describe to her how they entered the person, why they were there, right, and how they operate per se. And I'm talking, this book I can go grab from the shelf, but I mean it is literally 700 pages.
Wow.
And
it's 30 years amongst the dead.
It's up there, man. It's up there, like in that vein, but at the same time, it will literally give you nightmares, these accounts. Okay, I mean, we're talking like call centers in hell type situations. Like it operates like a man. I should have taken a few notes so I could give you direct examples of this, you guys. But basically, what it is they would admit, these spirits would admit to hanging out, or being drawn towards a car crash, right? Or people that are addicts. And, once their auric field is down, right? And that this has always been talked about. A lot of people, we've spoken about it on the show multiple times. I'm sure you have as well, Miguel. When your auric field, or whatever you want to call it, toroid, whatever you want to call it. But when your field, your psychic defenses are down, you're open to, you're susceptible to some sort of psychic attack, for lack of a better, So I'm curious to know if you, Miguel, have either researched this, come across it. I mean, obviously we've all kind of heard about these kinds of stories, but oh
yeah, I mean, I've had Jerry Morzinski,
who's
done a lot of work with prison mates suffering from schizophrenia, and Susan Martinez, who wrote a book about how most serial killers that are famous actually fall more under a possessed person. They have the characteristics of a person that's being demon possessed than your average criminal or psycho. Hey there, kid.
That was awesome.
So yeah, I think the possession attitude, or it definitely works. I mean, if some have said doing like Psalms 23 helps schizophrenics, and dealing with schizophrenia as a possession could actually work very well. Now, whether you want to get in, whether they're possessed or not, sometimes it doesn't matter. Like I said, if it works, it works. So they say in AA, you'll worry about that down the road. And even with and from the Jungian standpoint, yeah, your shadow can possess. There's something called complexes, which are side personalities. All your trauma and pain and stuff of childhood creates like a side personality that comes up. Like road rage is a classic one for most of us. Is like, what happened? You know, you feel like something has taken over, and then later on it's like, what the, you know, you're kind of embarrassed. Or, you know, at Thanksgiving, that button that changes your personality, and you feel like you're just or when we do drugs, it's like, why am I walking to see the dealer? I don't want to do this, but I am walking
Right.
for the drug. I am walking to the bar, and it's you're trapped. So that approach, whether it's a shadow or the complex, or even as Jung would say, and when he talked to build a dark archetype, there are dark forces, and they will come in, not because that's what they do. I mean, demons do what they, so call them demons, call it a dark archetype, call it a complex, but the approach of spiritual possession can be very effective. And if somebody's struggling out there, you have a family member struggling out there. I have a son who's 28, and he suffered from schizophrenia, and thank God he had a shrink that was versed in Jung and said, no, I'm not giving you meds. We're going to take the inner path. And he said he's been able to deal with his schizophrenia for the last 5-6 years. So highly recommended.
How lucky are you? I mean, to have a shrink that open-minded and just able to grasp that. I mean, that is just so rare. That's the first I've heard.
I remember going to shrinks, and one of those shrinks that, they're just going to dope you up, and you'll be numb and limp dick and just in a horrible place for.
Sure.
I've done that where they over medicate you. It's the worst. It's worse than relapsing.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
I got it real quick. When I was last year was very rough for me. Hey, Brisson. Hey, John's here, guys, in the chat. Anyway, but last year I was in a very, very rough predicament in my life, and I was homeless for a while and in a shelter and all that, and obviously turned it around. But I was in a rehab facility. Basically, I was homeless, but I was suicidal as well for the first time in my entire life. Actually, suicidal. And when I got in there, the doctor decided to give me Seroquel, and I have never in my life taken Seroquel. So he was like, well, let's give you 50 during the day, twice a day, and then at nighttime we'll give you 300 so you can sleep. Okay, so I'll never forget this, guys. I woke up the next morning after being dosed with a 300 milligram, and I could not, you go into the morning meeting, I was an inpatient for a week. You go in the morning meeting with everybody, and I remember trying to fill out the form of, how you feel today, what you want to work on, okay. I could not, for the life of me, I could not think at all. It was like somebody just erased my soul. I felt like I was, evacuated.
Put off the sunlight of the spirit.
It was disgusting. And I remember just so I stopped writing, and everybody's like, what's the matter, David? What's the matter? And I was like, I have a huge problem. And I just I went off, and I was like, I don't know who the hell I didn't get too high and mighty, but at the same time, I was so just the audacity, you know what I mean? I felt violated on so many levels. And I said, I can't even write out what I need to write out, because I can't even, think. I just can't think, it just doesn't make any sense to me. And I was like, whatever these drugs, this Seroquel shit, this is the most evil drug. I was like, this is the most evil drug I've ever touched, and I just remember just being so offended that they're just, for everybody there at that rehab facility, that whoever, and I found out it was just this one doctor that was giving the Seroquel out, and there's 4 other doctors, obviously.
Yeah, my wife worked for a law firm that represented Bayer and another company that distributed Seroquel. That drug has a huge body count and a lot of money being paid out to people. She even said just from reading the record, she's like, this is as close to evil as she's seen the drug. So
there you go.
That's saying a lot.
Yeah, I mean, shit. Say that again, Snake.
Said fentanyl's not a very nice one either.
No. They are. They might be satanic. I think they're satanic. I mean, it's. I remember when I relapsed on Ritalin, I'm saying, "Shit, this is worse than cocaine because I can be functional for a long time." It's like Coke Light. It's like I'm not. My eyes aren't dilated. I'm not sweating, but I'm still getting the Coke rush, and I'm like, nobody's ever gonna catch me. And part of me is always like, God, when I hit rock bottom or somebody busts me, then it's like, it's like, I can't stop. But with this stuff, I can go on and on and on.
I was 10 when they put me on Ritalin.
Same.
I was 13 when I did cocaine, and I was like, whoa, this Ritalin, except my face is numb.
The neurotoxicity, though, guys. I mean, I've done
vitamins. God.
Right? But I don't know if y'all have looked at, like, I've when I would do, was in my drug phase, I would always do a ton of research because I wanted to know what am I putting in my body? Granted, I'm abusing it, but I want to know how badly I'm abusing it, right? So I would, do a lot of research, making sure that, because when you're taking opioids and you're addicted, you want to make sure, potency, you're looking at all these, you're weighing things out, blah, blah, blah. I look at what the neurotoxicity of cocaine compared to Ritalin, compared, to Adderall, all the way down to all these ADHD meds, and found that Ritalin or methylphenidate has some of the highest neurotoxicity of all the amphetamines, the synthetics. But the neurotoxicity of cocaine, and granted, it's been stepped up, unless you're getting like lawyer coke or whatever, where it's like you can, and I mean, I've got friends that have the tester strips, you know what I mean, and dark web ordering type situations. So I mean, like, we could do an actual test there and find out, this is 70, this is whatever. But all that aside, the neurotoxicity alone, I think, plays a large role. Plus the norepinephrine levels. I mean, it just screws your whole, your whole chemistry, your brain chemistry up so much so that. And Jim, I mean, like, I don't know if Miguel, if you're also have been thrown into the ADHD camp type situation or whatever. It's none of my business. I'm trying to out you in any form or fashion.
No, I was too young. I was too young in school for that. But
okay.
Later on with that psychiatrist I was telling you about, he was giving me something for everything. So I had a huge prescription of drugs that would just mess me up. And obviously I leaned towards stimulants because that's what I like. I was never one for opioids. I just wanted stimulants. So I threw all the other stuff and stuck to Ritalin and then Adderall. And that was rough. But yeah, I think talking about suicidal, that's something you're asking what I was doing the year I started the podcast, Finding Hermes, where I'm trying to give alternative solutions or treatments to mental health, addiction, and all that. And the one thing that stuck me is you're talking about being suicidal. And that's, again, from a Jungian standpoint, when you're feeling suicidal, it's not you that wants to die. That's the urge. It's actually your soul telling you your worldview has to die. So we have to find a way to destroy our worldview, not our bodies, and then replace it with something else. Depression is just a wake-up call. And that's somebody who's manic depression. Now, when I go down, I just say, this is information. This is gnosis. It's not bad. It's not good. Or just like when I get memories from the past, I'm no longer judgmental. I was like, my psyche is here for me to find my purpose in life. So I'm not going to be at war with my mind anymore. I'm just going to listen and say where it takes me and where it's going. So depression is a wake-up call, and suicidal thoughts just means your worldview has to die, and has to die quickly. Something new is ready to come out from you, and it's going to be great.
Right. It makes total sense. Oops, sorry about that. Yeah, it's... Do you guys have any other questions? I got to take care of something really quick here. Gentlemen, Snake, or
Jim, you've been quiet.
Yeah, you have been. Where's Greg? Greg should be here soon. I don't know what is going on here. But
your question. Did we send him a link?
Yeah, no, he's good. He's got all the info. But yeah.
Yeah, I think initiation, they can destroy as much as they want, but these initiations have come out. This is what we're talking about. We've been initiated, all of us here. We all have that common bond, and it's all over the place. But these initiations are fatal at some time. Like, there's so many of us who have fallen to, overdoses and and whatnot, and suicide. But I really like what you said, Miguel. That's great. Yeah, my worldview needs to die, and that's being reborn. You know, we go through this process, and I don't. Speaking of empire, you know, I can get angry at politics and all that stuff, but what it seems to me is you got these dark alchemists, occultists, empire. Just I don't know. I'm powerless over it, and yeah, they've done a lot of damage, but you know, the human spirit and the soul. They can't suppress it. We're their shadow, and we're gonna come out. And I don't know. New World Order might not be the New World Order that they were expecting. Might be something that they deserve.
Yeah, I mean, I always tell people, well, what should I do? Should I march? Should I do this? I said, look, most revile figures in history were probably the Gnostics. They were everybody's boogeyman. I mean, the early church, they thought Simon Magus and the Gnostics were an existential threat to the Christian Roman Empire. I mean, the Gnostics never were dangerous or did anything. They were never political. It was their ideas that freaked them out. And this has gone throughout history. So I think if our ideas are right, they're going to get scared and they're going to make a move. So that's when we know we're in the right path. We don't have to force the hand or do anything. It's our ideas. I mean, when we change, guys, when we're transformed, people can tell it when we walk into the room, when we were outside. I mean, that's and there's more of us than them. So if we have an inner transformation, they're going to be scared. I mean, what's V for Vendetta? Always that quote from V for Vendetta by Alan Moore: people should not be afraid of the government. Government should be afraid of the people. We are not there, but we can make them afraid. I think we're closer than ever. I think they are shitting themselves. I think they're making stupid mistakes. They're overplaying their hand. They're being ham-fisted a lot about things.
And drunk with power.
Yeah, they're in denial. I mean, some things are so dumb that they're putting out that you can tell when I know I'm falling apart, I will go in denial very fast. And that's what they're doing. So, yeah. But again, a dying animal can be very dangerous. So
precisely that, man. That is profound as AF, man. That's profound AF. Oh shit, man! It's like the date that shall not be named, for example, right? It's like we saw them shitting themselves, but I can't. It was such a, you know what I mean? It's such a. There was so much.
Politics is all theatrics,
right? So I mean, it's almost hard to tell.
What did Frank Zappa say? Politics is the entertainment wing of the military-industrial complex. Beautiful. And that's the enemy, and that's what I tell. I mean, Occupy Wall Street, remember those guys? They finally had the right idea. They knew who the enemy was, and they were going to go for it. But they got cucked like so fast. They got New Age or whatever happened to them.
Infiltrated.
Yeah. In the 60s, these marches were like surrounding the Pentagon and military. The hippies had the right idea, but they got cucked pretty fast. So if we go for the military industrial complex and the war on drugs, that transforms the country. You know, the inner cities, I think the military is the number one polluter in the world. So that'll make, you know, the environmentalists happy. I mean, it will transform so much, but then again, it's hard. And we have to admit that's the true enemy that has the true power, because the Archons don't want us to see it. And most people don't want to see it. That's why they're doing silly things like marching in Portland or whatever the hell, you know. Yeah. You know, patriots on the street with their guns. No, that's not the enemy. And the funny thing, the people on the streets and all agree, it's, you know, and philosophically, we got to stop the military industrial complex and the war on drugs, the mass incarceration, and we'll have we might have a republic back.
I agree. And I'm going to pivot here for just 1 second, because our good buddy John Brisson has a question for you. Hey, Miguel, why does the Rockefeller... John, let's be nice. Like, I know... but, hey, Miguel, why does the Rockefellers pay for pushing Gnostic thought and research and UNESCO for 70 plus years?
You know, I'm going to have to talk to the FBI van across the street before I answer this question. I
love it.
Help! They got us. No. The listener is right. Unfortunately, I feel when Gnostic studies started coming out, you had a push by certain people like Elaine Pagels and Karen King, and Gnosticism was presented as this sort of alternative, happy, feminist type of Christianity, and that's how it was marketed to the masses. And but that's not true. It's not true, and I'm glad there has been a pushback with scholars like April DeConnick, David Brackey, Robert Price, who said, no, the Gnostics weren't these nice. They were basically spiritual anarchists who believed in a spiritual warfare with the archons. They were much more intense than what's been presented, because I think there were certain powers up there that wanted to make Christianity more open for different people. So they used the Gnostics as sort of the tool, the leverage to open up Christianity. And UNESCO was definitely behind funding that. So I'm assuming that is over, because my show and these scholars are sort of the second wave in this century, or maybe 5-10 years ago, that has sort of pushed back against this. And we'll see. Unless as far as I know, I'm not compromised.
There you have it, Johnny. John B, we're all good. He's not compromised. No,
as far as I know.
No agents. we have no agents here. So no agency.
God, that word again.
Yeah, right. We have a list of banned words, by the way, in the chat that I purposely put up. Patriot is one of them. Dog whistle words. I've just had it for temporarily right now. So that's all.
Yeah, especially in this day and age where the algorithm is like.
That's what I mean. That's why I
like in the Matrix, those serpents or octopuses that'll just destroy your channel. I mean, I feel bad for people because, like Greg Carlwood did an interview 10 years ago, and then he gets a strike for something he did 10 years ago.
Sure, it's absurd. But I mean, also the platform.
I don't know what the RX Picture Show would have. It wouldn't survive.
No.
Yeah, as far as I know, it's still up.
Yeah.
The viewership wasn't big enough, I guess, to really trigger anything, or something else. Maybe, I don't know. I was kind of worried about it. It's all backed up, but I've been meaning to put it up on my channel anyway, just as
a good idea
to ensure it.
And by the way, Miguel John says he's just giving you grief. So
no, he's right. He's 100% right.
There you go, Johnny.
I don't know about the Rockefellers, but UNESCO. Yeah, I know.
We've read the document.
I know what he was saying.
Yeah, you know who we're talking about too. So just want to make sure. Okay, so really briefly before we let you go, Miguel, let's talk a little bit about Tracy Twyman, because we want to keep her research alive, and it's super important to me because I've spoken on it before, and anybody that's been following the show now knows my stance with that and how I feel like all of this was kind of brought together. Jim and I were brought together cosmically. I don't want to put too much into it, but it's what it is. You know what I mean? It's something that's undeniable, period. And I feel like, and just like, what was it, last week, 2 weeks ago, you guys, where it was another thing happened, like the synchronicities were so strong, where I'm listening to an old Tracy Twyman thing in the parking lot of the grocery store, and I couldn't get out because it was so riveting. And it was somebody taking the initiative to do I think it was the Up is Down podcast or something like that from 2020, early 2020, saying we cannot forget about Tracy's work. We cannot blah, blah, blah. And he did a 4-part thing. And I was just riveted and moved, and I was listening to it. And at that moment, I believe we got our first donation. Shout out to Gerard for the show. Okay. Now, in the donation, in the note, okay, it said, I can actually pull it up and read it briefly here, but it was
crazy. I see.
Go ahead, Jim.
Every day I see something that reminds me of Tracy. Like I had YouTube going and in the background, and I was like doing other things. You know how it if you let it autoplay, it goes on into weird, cool stuff sometimes. And it was like some sort of like History Channel stuff, and they're talking about Hercules and going beyond the pillars. And I was like, oh yeah, plus ultra. Thanks, Tracy. You know, like just little things like that every day.
Right. But I found it, guys. Okay. So, and this is from Gerard Carrillo, and we appreciate you so much, Gerard. It says, "My dear David, one small contribution to your fantastic au revoir, Weaving Spiders. I sent you a lucky 23, my lucky number, Jordan's number, flex.
That's my number too.
There you go. I heard Jim got canceled from Twitter, but he is back. What the heck is the world turning into, man? So surreal. We need to keep talking Twyman. I'll catch your stream this Saturday. Let me know if something's up before Saturday. All right, pal, Gaius, aka Gerard." As I'm listening to that, reflecting, doing a little bit of Twyman research, that comes through. And I was just like, of course. Once again, Tracy, you know what, is just her spirit being alive, and I don't care what anybody thinks and how stupid and what dumb cliche, whatever it sounds. I felt her presence, and that's it. Strong as could be. And, you know, you guys know, Snake, this is just what it is. And, so I immediately sent that off. I was like, here it is again, guys. It just keeps coming. It's clockwork, and it's beautiful clockwork. And, I wanted to, if there's a way we can, keep digging a little bit, not digging necessarily, but I feel like there's been no justice. Well, it's a hard road here. What do you think, Jim? Maybe you can put this into a better word, this a little bit better than I can.
I don't think there's anything that we can do at this point.
Yeah.
I don't know, as far as justice, I think that everything is at peace now.
Sure. I just mean research-wise as well. And I think because there's so much unfinished, there's so much mystery surrounding it with that Dead Man Switch video, so much shit and like speculation and just shit flying all over the place. I don't know if, Miguel, did you have a relationship with Tracy? Or did you have you all talked, interviewed? I can't remember.
Yeah, I interviewed her twice, and
okay.
We definitely connected and shared information. I think I was more of a simp than I was a friend, but yeah, her views and her research really informed my life and everything. She was just a brilliant individual. She's one of those few people that you can see their mind exploring in real time and shifting and going. And she had a vision. She could go to places where most human beings could not go. It was just, she was so gifted, incredible individual. And yeah, I definitely miss her, and I miss her work. I was actually reading her Baphomet book, doing some work on Hermes and Abraxas. And it's like, again, she goes to places, those liminal places where most of us are completely blind to her, just don't see. So it's, still a great loss. It still stings, but as Jim was saying, you got to accept it and be at peace with it until the time is right.
Right.
And again, the best we can do is just share her ideas and open other people's eyes. That's where the battle will be won.
Definitely. That was well said. And I think also, like, we've been doing readings of clocks, because I mean, I'll never forget, like, this sucks, and I'll just say this briefly, but I mean, when I got the news that she had passed, I had both clock shavings and genuflect in my Amazon cart at that time, and I hadn't placed the order yet. And when I went to place the order, the books had shot up to $900. And it was bad. And I literally had to wait to get my hands on physical copies of those books. And that's another thing that made me go, what the hell is going on? Right? Like, what of all the books, only those two books were the ones that shot up to just crazy, crazy numbers. I mean, at one point it was $750, and then like a week later I checked, it was $1,249. And I'm talking 8 books.
They were available, and they were self-published, so they were super limited in number. And
it's just suspicious.
You know, it's very suspicious.
Yeah.
Listen, like they might say it's an algorithm, but it seems like it could possibly be, you know.
I find that a little bit hard to believe because I reached out to multiple book dealers that had it in stock that were, charging this much, and I never once got any legitimate response back from any of them. So I have no, and I even overplayed my hand, where I said, I think what you're doing is, I said, like family or extended family kind of, to try to make it seem like, like I had more of a connection than I actually did at the time, but just trying to get something, just some information as to how and why this could possibly be. When, her book on the Merovingians, I think that was the other one that was very, very, not Money Grows on the Tree of Knowledge, but the Merovingian Kings book. But all the other ones, her book with Redfern, her book with, or her Baphomet book with Alex Rivera, those were all $30 to $40, but I mean, clock shavings and genuflect, and we've been doing readings. Like, we need to catch it up. There you go.
I got her to sign it.
Of course you did, because you should have. It's beautiful. But I mean, that's one thing we're carrying on here, Miguel, is doing. And like, I'll let everybody know, we all need to, I guess, up it and start, like, I'll do it at, 2:00 in the morning. I'll get the urge to, I'm going to get online. I'm going to put the fireplace in the background. You know what I mean? The live fireplace, and just read a couple chapters and put it up there. And and in all honesty, those, Jim, you can attest to this on the channel. Those are the highest view. Those have the most views of all of our stuff, which is,
I've done, I was reading it in October on Tuesdays. I was doing Spooky Tuesdays, and I was reading out of her books. But I just got busy after that over the holidays, and I haven't gotten back to it. But
we're going to.
Yeah, I don't know necessarily on Tuesday, but
I want to say this. By 2016, we've lost so many beautiful people to overdoses and suicides, our friends and family. And I was forced to come up with an axiom, and it's a simple one. It's if your suffering is so great, God will call you home. And I like what Miguel said earlier. Home is the soul. So, we know it deep inside. That's where we exist. And it's, Tracy is, I've had it, and that's not just her. So, I mean, with the will that you have and all that stuff, it'll all start unfolding when it's time. Don't stress yourself out too much about it. I mean, look what's unfolded with her work so far. You're doing great, David. I mean,
Thank
Jim.
you.
So
you're a part of this too, brother.
Yeah, I just want to keep it at that level, because I might be gone tomorrow, and if you guys we love Snake Jones, I'm good.
Yeah, as long as they don't, we live as long as they don't forget us. We have to remember our ancestors, our family members. Tracy, just I try to, before I go to bed, I do some prayers, and I try to remember my family members and friends that have passed away. Because if I just give them a few seconds and minutes a day, they're alive, and they're listening to me.
And that's great. And thank you for even, saying that, because a lot of people, that's still kind of a taboo, weird, silly thing. And I don't get why. Hey, buddy.
This is my,
like that hard hat, pal.
His passion is World War I.
Nice. Ferdinand didn't do.
I got a World War I pickle helmet.
He's the fourth turning.
I got a World War II German helmet.
You do.
And original Vietnam War helmet.
Nice. Little collector over here. I like it. History. It's important. Love it. Just remember Ferdinand, all that nonsense about Ferdinand in that shot. Just disregard it.
Yeah. What did the license plate say? Yeah.
The day of the armistice.
Yep. Armistice, man. Okay.
All right, gentlemen, I got to jump out.
Yeah, thank you so much, buddy. I really appreciate it. And Greg, are you down to come back again? Greg will be here, and we'll have a
a lot of fun. It's almost like a mini meeting. So I mean,
yeah, this is kind of how
I
it
got
is.
nothing better to do on a Saturday night.
I love it.
Feeling
It's
good.
loose, and that's kind of why we created it this way. It was kind of like, you know what? No stress. We're not going to have stress with this. It's going to be just what it is.
Yeah, with a podcast, you can start it, but find your voice and let it go, and then those who need to hear your message will come. Trust me.
Exactly, and I appreciate that, buddy. Means a lot. So,
all right. Well, good night, everybody.
Been a pleasure.
Night, Kaiser, General, sir.
All right. Cheers, Miguel.
All
we'll
right,
be in
guys.
touch,
Thanks,
buddy.
guys. Good talking to everybody. Take care.
Cheers. Have a beautiful night.
Everybody laugh.
All right. That was great.
Oh, that was nice.
That was good.
What?
Yeah. Appreciate it, Miguel. We've got a lot of goodness going on in the chat right now. Whoa, it's lit up. So we want to shout out. We'll shout out S90. What's up, brother? We got Steve Snorenson, of course, in the chat. We got Brisson still here, I think.
Great interview on Crow, man.
Yeah,
So
killer.
dude.
You nailed it on Crow, buddy. Good job. We got Pyramid 7. What's up? We got Malia. Good to always see you. And what else? I don't see Veltman. I thought I saw Veltman, but he ain't around. I don't know what his deal is.
I'll be right back.
Hey, what's your problem? Kevin Dugan. And we got, let's see. We got Terry and Robot. If you're still here, say something.
Is that part correct?
Yeah.
If anybody has any questions too, shout. Just put them in. We're gonna hang for a little bit longer. I don't know where our buddy Gregory is. He should be here. His 2 first name have an ass. Let's see.
I got a World War II original helmet, American, but no German helmet.
You will one day.
We'll get you that Hugo Boss fight. That's such a good band name, right? Hugo Boss fight.
Yeah, so that's
Too good. I'm gonna have to save that one, put it in back pocket. What do y'all think in the chat about a band name called Hugo Boss Fight? Just thumbs up or thumbs down. Veltman is everywhere at once. He is an AI. I agree. S90. Kevin, good looking out. Thanks for hanging. So Snake, how's your week, buddy?
Oh man.
Crazy. Work a lot. I know. A lot of work.
I work a lot. We made this huge move, and Miguel just really dialed it in for me. Good people like Lindsay.
Yeah.
We got an amazing fellowship going on in here.
By the way, dude, your interview on Rogue, I didn't even know because my notifications ain't right, and I didn't get a text I had to put the do
With
not.
Gordon?
Well, no, the do not disturb on the group chat because it kept waking me up, and I was trying. You know what I mean? I was trying to take a nap, so I was like, no, they're starting now, and I had to just do not disturb for just that. So then I missed when I was like, well, what's going on? And I'm like, wait, what? And I see, that you did the TI episode, and I clicked on it, and I was like, how did I miss this? And then I went back in the chat and saw that, that you were doing it, and I was blown away. I thought it was a fantastic episode. So good job over there, man. Seriously,
Lindsay's great. Gordon's awesome.
And who was that? Gordon was his name. What's the guy's name? Gordon Hamill.
Yeah, he's been around. I've seen him in chat for years.
And what's beautiful is the fact that I was flattered when I heard him say, Jim, I don't know if you heard it too, but he was like, yeah, so we connected through it. I saw Snake, and then he was like, and then I saw it on Weavingspiders. Like, what? Awesome. Yep. You know what I mean? Like, full circle, right? Like, this is beautiful. So it's starting to come across. And I don't want to digress from that. We'll come back, but I was just about to say, so we're up in our game, guys. Like, Jim got a new board, so he got.
It's not hooked up yet.
It's not hooked up yet. We're all good.
No, it's not hooked up yet. I just got it this week.
Little cool Yamaha board, really reasonable too, Snake. So when you get your office going, we'll get you. You know what I mean, rocking. And then also I got
got Shadowback.
Yeah, right.
Shadowback. So the Shadow.
Loopback.
Shadow can come and talk on the second channel and all the really
what the hell are you
cool things that I say, that would normally come out under the influence of whatever.
Oh yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about now.
Miguel was talking about earlier.
Yeah, drag that shadow into the light, right? No, but I gotta the Stream Deck, the little Elgato thing with the buttons, so it's like a technical director you know, in
The
a
thing you sent the pictures of?
yeah. It's just
The bright LCD, like
yes. So essentially, I'll be able to press up one button, and it'll start the show. It'll send a tweet out. You know what I mean?
you should do an internet review of it.
I will. I'll do an unboxing too.
Do an unboxing.
We'll have a fun unboxing, and we'll do a little review. But yeah, and guys in the chat, I know you guys. Snake. I don't know if you have you don't have headphones in. Jim, you don't have headphones in, but my audio.
I need my computer. I need all that so I can get in chat and do all that.
It's all good. We'll get you set up, buddy. You're gonna be good.
I can't wear headphones and my horns at the same time. So.
No, I understand. There, Shaman. Shame on you. But I was gonna say, is guys in the chat, is the audio even with where I'm at on my levels? Because I've been working on that, and I just want to make sure that it's good and even, kind of. So let me know so I can mark my board here. So I'm not clipping. So, and when you get a chance, somebody in the chat. Let's see. By the way, Kevin Dugan would like to mention. He would like to mention that Texas is voting on leaving the Republic in December. I've heard this many times about them seceding, going back to how many years?
Are you self-sufficient?
Wait a second.
Yeah.
How can you leave something that we don't have? So
there you go. Then there's that. It is why America, you know. So, but Texas has been threatening to secede like a lot. You know, like thank you S90. Okay, cool. Thank you with the audio. Okay, so. Am I wrong, guys, or has Texas been threatening to secede? My nose hair is bristling in the wind. Well, that's good then. Haven't they though, Kevin? Anybody?
I thought they were pretty successful.
What? I'm sorry, one at a time. Snake?
I said, yeah, the balkanization of America. Let's do it. Let's split up into FEMA regions and. I mean, might as well, whatever.
I'd prefer no FEMA region labeling, but you know, whatever, dude. You know what I'm just joking.
If Texas secedes, then we're gonna end up in the Hunger Games sort of like states sort of thing. I think that's probably the idea. Is to have like all these separate. Like, let's look at the 2030 map. You know, Agenda 2030. And see what the new borders are, because they're supposedly they're gonna mess up all the state and country borders and pick new borders. You know, that would just like an eraser.
I'm changing my attitude. It's happening fast because just like with Miguel was talking earlier, and this goes, we're stacking them like Lindsay too. Like our power is we are their shadow. They have neglected the one thing that they were supposed to be taking care of, like a parent and a child. If you have a divine right to rule, if you are a righteous ruler, you're going to take care of there's nothing wrong with it. I don't think there's anything wrong with ruling, you know.
Right.
But they are scared. Just look at the amazing things that we've been doing. Groups like us, all of us, just us individuals. This is the response. COVID isn't a plan. This is oh shit. We better do something. Now. They're waking up.
Power grab, trunk power grab. Yeah.
I think it's a plan. I think it's been a long-term plan for years and years and years. But you know, people.
Like I said, my attitude's starting to change, and I think
same here. Hey, Sil is in the chat.
They made a reason for a lot more people to accept it, and that was the whole Trump thing. You know, like all these people that hated Trump. They jumped onto the thing that they knew he would be anti. You know, like, I'm not going to wear a mask, Trump says. And so everybody on the other side is like, fuck that guy.
Which was stupid because if you look at it like this, imagine
is what dumped everybody into it.
Imagine if if we had a Democratic president, like if it was Obama, and he was like, okay, and the right was like, wear masks, right? Like we need to be wearing masks. The entire left would not be wearing masks just to spite, or right would not be wearing just to spite. It's literally, I mean, and that makes no sense. And honestly, Jim, I'm on Snake. I feel like we're on the level here with this, with the COVID thing, or the Rona, whatever, however, we don't get dinged here. But Jim, when we speak with Dr. Kevin McCarran, which we're going to have on the show, I think he's got the most coherent take on this whole thing, because he does look at it from, he's a doctor, right? He's the doctor that doctors go to, and he's been a doctor he's currently, I believe, living in Japan, but he's also, he's got his medical license and whatever, and he's worked in the UK, in America. I mean, he's been all over, working as a medical doctor. And his take on it, I heard him, shout out to Michael Deacon. What's up, brother? And he went against, it wasn't like against Dr., or I don't even think he's a doctor, Paul Cottrell. I don't know if you guys are familiar. Yeah.
Paul. That
Paul.
son of a bitch.
Okay,
All
right.
right. He was live streaming.
Yeah.
And he's still going. I'm like, how are you still here?
There you go. See, all right, S90 in chat. He knows. I think Brisson had, I think they had him McCarran on recently as well. And I just am terrible with Twitter and getting back and DMs and stuff, blah, blah, blah. So we'll have McCarran on in the next week or two, okay, to discuss this. But
so what I was going to say, we kind of got off track from the politics that you were talking about a second ago. And I was thinking, like, okay, America got caught up in Coke or Pepsi. Do you like Coke? Do you like
yes.
Pepsi? Which one do you
Coke.
like? Coke or Pepsi? Coke or Pepsi? Instantly.
Coke for me. So
You want to drink a high fructose corn syrup beverage that's going to give you heart disease and kill you fat, or do you want to drink water or something else that's better for you? That whole the polarization, it's just human nature to like want to pick a side and then battle. Where we have that whole
Right.
tribal instinct.
it is very tribal. It's very tribalistic, and now, let alone we're in the middle of a color revolution on top of it. So it's just like, ugh.
But people go in the army because they're looking for a tribe to belong to, like, because you have a common enemy and you have a common goal.
But your enemy is not, the enemy of my enemy is not my friend. So, I mean, we're on
It is your
that.
friend, unless you're playing Risk.
Right. Unless you're playing Risk, exactly. Which, it is a giant Risk board right now. Hey, Cooper, good to see you, pal. Thanks for stopping by and hanging out. We don't know where Greg is. He's still missing. He's still at a car dealership. Either that or he's at a photo shoot at a car dealership. That's probably what's really going on. He's shooting models posing on Bentleys actually right now, guys. That's just what I hear. Could be wrong, but yeah. Okay, so with Dr. McCarran, really briefly, what he's posed is that, look.
Who is Dr. McCarran?
He's great. I'll just leave it at that, and we're gonna have him on. He's already agreed to come on the show. Just I can't go there yet right now. But okay, so what he's said, it was really resonated with me. Is that, look, this is clearly not. There's a virus, or whatever you want to call it. Like we don't need to argue over colloquial bullshit, right? Which Kaufman loves to do, doesn't he? Which is bullshit. In my opinion, it's ignoring something in that, and I think he's controlled opposition. It's controlled opposition.
Is definitely a thing that makes some people sick.
Yes, exactly.
But whether it's sweaty or
you can describe it however you want. It is what it is, right? It's doing some kind of damage, so whatever. Okay. Now to the levels, we all know that's a load of shit.
I don't know if it's what's doing the damage, though.
No, right. I understand where you're coming from. At the same time, either way, something's going on. So let's just, I'll admit that, okay? But the point, I mean, yeah, there's something making people sicker than normal, okay? Like, whatever, okay? We don't know.
You guys notice that people stop talking about herpes all of a sudden? COVID.
Yeah, right. And the flu, I mean, I know we all saw the flu map. I don't know I hope everybody's seen the flu map where it's like, oh yeah, the lowest flu rates ever. Yeah, we get it. Okay, so they're milking this as hard as it's blatantly obvious, and if you can't see that, I feel sorry for you, and I feel sorry for your mother. All that aside, the thing is okay, so we don't need to take such a hardline stance like Coke or Pepsi with this thing, right? Because that is the wrong fucking approach, period, end of story. Which that was, when it first came out, all this news, it was a Coke or Pepsi thing. It's either real or it's fake. Fuck you, dude, there's some in between.
I'm saying don't choose right or left.
That's what I'm saying.
Choose your own. Choose to have your own garden and fuck those guys.
Yeah.
Right, I get it. But here's the thing.
I should be exercising more. Yeah, like that. That's the
Yes,
response.
but they're not gonna. Yeah, they don't want us healthy. Clearly, they, the proverbial, evil almighty they. But,
I wore this to make a joke out of it.
I know.
Like the guy wearing the whatever that day was we were talking about.
The shaman. Oh yeah, the day that shall not be mentioned. The old Psyopnalia. Yeah. So, but anyway, honor the shaman. Honor shaman. We'll just honor shamans in general.
In general.
Right.
Yeah. But briefly, just tying it back around with Dr. McCarran, he has a stance that I haven't heard any other doctors really have on this. So he doesn't take the hard line, left, right, or Coke, Pepsi thing here with it. He owns the fact that there's something there, and it could be serious, and we don't know the long-term effects is. In all reality, I am concerned about that with what they could be. It's just like we don't know the long-term effects yet of cell phones, right? We don't know the long-term effects of radiation. We just know it probably isn't. It's not good. Okay, we'll just leave it at that. Holding a phone in your hand.
Cause and effect.
Yes, exactly. So,
matter principle.
Yep. So, I mean, and we're not going to see these effects for 10, who knows how many years, right? But once it comes, it's going to come in a wave. A big wave, I have a feeling. But hey, hopefully I'm wrong, right? Now, we can look at it from that same lens, or dare I use the terminology aperture to look at it that way, right?
Aperture's good.
It is good. Okay, so we'll use aperture. So if we have the aperture to look at this objectively, we can see and say that, yes, there's something here. There's no sense in arguing about the little intricacies of what it exactly is and how this doesn't exist the way it's described. Yeah, we get that. Whatever. Shut up. That argument's been had a million freaking times. And people are making way too much money on that grift. I'm tired of it. There's enough grifts going around. This Q grift hopefully is almost over. Whatever. F all that. I'll stop digressing. Kevin McCarran has said basically that there's something out there and it's effed up, and he's worried about what the effects are going to be long-term, but he's also very, very conscientious and aware of the fact that the abuse of power and power grab of, we're looking at what? World Economic Forum with Klaus Schwab and the Great Reset, which is real, very, very real for those listening that don't normally listen. It's a real thing. It's not a conspiracy theory. It is what it is, okay? So get over it and accept it, and we can figure out what to do about it. Now,
chickens.
Right. Exactly.
I gotta go feed mine.
So we look at it like that, but Kevin also realizes that and wants to make it known, and I don't want to speak too much for him, but this is just what I gathered from listening to a couple of his interviews, was that it's irresponsible, obviously, for Kaufman to be out here doing that bullshit and, obviously grifting. And it's also irresponsible for them to be doing a power grab with it and, using it to usher in a communitarianism, where we police ourselves and, shame on you, you're not wearing a mask, all the fucking back and forth nonsense, right? And I'm really glad, by the way, Snake, that you decided to have video right now. Thank you. It's hard not to be able to see, sometimes, but I understand you've been in that position. Again, I digressed. Sorry, guys.
Still in the work clothes.
You look beautiful, buddy. But no. So basically, it's just be conscientious that we don't need to be going out. Dying on the hill of not wearing a mask. I think we've all accepted at this juncture, and I understand you guys are in more rural areas, so it's not as. Do you know what I mean? But McCarran says, well, it's kind of stupid knowing, if you're going into a place where there's a lot of people, like, for example, like a packed Walmart and shit, it probably isn't the worst idea in the world, you know what I mean, to wear a mask in that situation.
I would never wear a mask before,
No, I understand.
Why you would now. Plus,
hey, I get it. And I understand. And we can let him.
I don't like wearing a mask when I have to at work.
No, I get it. And I hate wearing it going into the store.
Have you ever been to a strip club? I've survived every single time. That's
right.
Yeah.
No, for real. No, I agree. And we all know that they've purposely put in this post-truth era, they've purposely had Fauci going, no, masks, no, that's ridiculous. And then contradict themselves a week later and then contradict, but then also selective reporting and, oh, you're not reporting
Gaslighting.
Yeah,
And then here's the deal.
Exactly.
What happened to I want to bring this up. I was listening to Corey Hughes again, and
Who?
he's doing great. Corey Hughes.
Okay.
He's the Anatomy of COVID on Forbidden Knowledge News. Great series. But it goes back to Ryan Gable as well. Let's go over the Patriot Act. Their own freaking law say what domestic terrorism is.
Right.
It's coercion through threat of violence. These guys are up here going, if you don't do what we're saying, you're going to this and that. And they're getting political gain. They're getting money.
Blacklisting, no-fly list.
There's a missing element here where these people are not being held accountable. Forget about what everybody else is doing, but how isn't anybody in government going, hey, dude, that's domestic terrorism?
Yeah.
Right
there.
How draw the line somewhere?
Absolutely. And with the way the Patriot Act is set up. Sorry, Jim, we can't hear you very good. I can't hear you very good. Can you turn your volume up?
We cannot name. They're calling Trump supporters domestic terrorists. I was trying to say, man, you got to call these people who they are before they turn it around.
Right. And look, and we all know that fascism will be ushered in under the guise of anti-fascism. So there you go.
What happens when you put in Antifa.com?
Okay, everybody, I want you to do this right now. I'm not even kidding. Everybody in the chat, please do this.
You don't have to go do it.
Still happening, okay? I'm not even kidding. Everybody, if you can,
even now redirects.
Hey, hold on. Let me do this. Everybody in the chat, please open your browser and go to google.com, okay?
Well, don't jump out of the bar just yet.
Yeah, right. Go to google.com and just your regular Google search and type in Antifa. What is it, antifa.com?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, go to Google.
It goes to White House.
Shut up, Jim. Shut up. Jesus.
Freaking redirect from hell.
Listen, everybody, go type in antifa.com on Google. Don't say it. Come on.
So you got your Uncle Sam and you got your
people that actually know what's going on. Hey, everybody.
Hey guys, let's have
Shut up, Jim. I love you. Please let me do this. I got to do this. I would never yell at you to shut up. You know I love you. Okay. Everybody in the chat, nobody bust it. Shut up. I'm muting you. I'm muting you. All right. Jim's muted. He better be. There you go. Okay. Don't do it, Jim. And turn your volume up too while you're at it. Okay. Nobody in the chat, bust it out if you already know what this is. Go to Google, go to your browser, type in antifa.com. And I want everybody, if you can, in the chat to tell me what comes up in your browser. And then we'll leave it alone. We're not going to talk about it until we start getting this coming into our chat right now live. It's old news, and says,
we're going way down.
It may be old news, but guess what? I didn't know about it until today. So if you know, don't say it, Anne. I appreciate you being here. Thank you. But I just want to see the reaction.
Yeah, thanks, Anne.
Because it's crazy.
It is old news.
Is it? How old of news is it?
Oh, shit, it's my buddy over there.
The Skelly Bob.
How old of news is it?
Biden twice.
And how old of news is it, Anne, if you know? You shut up. You got me killed in Call of Duty by doing this, Kevin said. Oh, that's amazing. Oh, this is great. All right, Steve, have a good night. I'm sorry I missed you. Beautiful night, Steven. Let's see while we're waiting.
CTruth.com.
Yeah, ctruth.today, buddy. ctruth.today.
ctruth.today.
Yeah. Go check out Steven's site, everybody. It's on chronology and just basically how we cannot properly... How we the timeline is...
account for stuff.
We can't account for things. We can only account back to 1903, roughly, by the way. So
never happened.
Right. So nothing ever happened, guys, before 1903. It's actually the world, the Bible's a little bit off by about how many years? 6,000? 6,000 or 5,900 years, right? Then, so like actually, the Earth was formed in 1900, I'd say. The news is 3 to 4 days old. Okay, S90 says. But for those that don't know, whatever, fine. Since nobody's saying shit, if you type in antifa.com, oh, she's saying it started with the Biden campaign. Well, if you type in antifa.com in your Google browser, it will literally direct you directly to the whitehouse.gov. That's it. And I was like,
Oh,
what
that's
is-
baseless news, you guys.
Yeah, well, we can
Baseless.
prove it, and I can share the screen right now, and if it's still
Simple
happening, and I'm
redirect.
gonna do that. Here we go. just for some funsies.
Jim, are you anti-fa?
No, look at these horns.
Okay. Okay, so
Or am I kidding?
I forgot to tell you guys this week. I was at the hardware store last Monday, and I'm having to do the pick up the order. Anyway, this gentleman comes in, stands next to me, and I swear to God, he looked like Antifa. He's dressed like it and everything. So I gave him the look, man. I got no mask on. He's looking like Antifa. He's like, "What's up?" I'm like, I don't know. What's up? Nice mask. What's the deal, you know? And he goes, "Oh, I know what you're thinking." I'm like, "Whatever, dude." Anyway, I go out to my car with what I purchased, and this truck pulls up, and it's this guy, and without his mask or anything. And he's like, "Hey, man, I know what you were thinking. That ain't me, man."
There it is, guys.
Wow.
I typed the antifa.com in my browser, and this is Brave, and it's not even Google. Sorry to interrupt you.
He told me that he had just gotten back from the day that must not be named.
Right.
And he said that as soon as he crossed the Illinois border into Missouri, the FBI pulled him over. And he's like, I don't know how they knew where they were. They asked me where I was. They were confirming all this information about him is what they were asking him.
What?
And this is a dude who lives in my town, small town. So I don't know.
So did you know him before, or your new town?
My new town, yeah, small town.
As in Newtown.
No,
I'm just kidding.
got
We're not even going to
billboards
say
up.
the word. We're not saying the word. Don't.
FBI's got billboards up everywhere out here saying if you had any information about the Capitol Hill.
Oh yeah, yep. They're
Wow.
Milwaukee. I just drove by the high-rise bridge right by downtown Milwaukee.
See one?
Yep, same thing. If you have any information on the cap, yep, same thing. And I was like, ooh, wow, this is really.
Yeah.
I don't know
I got
how.
some information. Your little psyop sucks. You guys get better.
Yeah, exactly.
Call Steven Spielberg or something. You guys-
Where's Michael Bay?
yeah, or Michael Bay.
My God.
You need better magic to get that thing done.
Straight up, dude. They had the day right. They had all the cosmologically, perfect.
Yeah, I think it worked for everybody that wasn't us.
Right. It's crazy though. I mean, it's literally like it was the perfect storm. We've got the storming of the Saturnine Hill. We've got
Wow. Yep.
They're Capitoline Hill. I'm sorry, Capitoline Hill storming. With Saturnine. Man, it's just there's so many things, and for those that want more on it, you probably already know if you're in the chat, but go to Secret Sun Blogspot.
This is something I was thinking. I know I was a little off topic. So you got these guys are they're twisted sorcerers and wizards. They were all trained. We'll just use Biden and Clinton. Clinton's is a witch. She was trained in some psychological, it's psychology is what sorcery is. But look what's happening over time. Their kids are becoming these distorted, like they're supposed to take over. Like, I think this is the end for them. They're so corrupt and they can't. What are you gonna do? Hunter Biden smokes crack. Is he gonna carry your name? No. Like, look at the Bushes, how they've deteriorated. They've got,
I think it's just kind of goes in the family. Like they overlook that sort of behavior. You know how George Bush Jr. was, he flew. He could fly the F-16 or the F-18 or whatever.
Wait, W can fly an F-16?
He like never showed up for his thing. I
don't believe that for
National
one
Guard
second.
or whatever it was he was in. He had to go like once a month. And
are we talking to George W. Bush, Jim?
Yeah, the younger one.
That's Wait a minute. Was he in? He wasn't in the Air Force, was he?
Oh yeah,
he was
sure.
National Guard.
So he knows how to fly a freaking.
They both were in the. They both were pilots.
Well, George W. or H.W. was in the Navy.
He was in World War II. Yeah.
He wasn't flying any.
He was He was an air
pilot.
I mean, but not any high tech craft. I mean, he was flying the. He
was an aircraft carrier fighter pilot. There's
high tech.
H.W. Bush aircraft carrier right now. there's a bronze monument to him where he's walking through this porthole, and it's 1.25 size life. So it's like with all the on a ship, the big port doors.
Yeah.
Got his 45 sidearm, and he's running to his airplane to go take off.
To get out of Dallas as quickly as possible, so he doesn't have to remember where he was when JFK got shot. I mean, what?
No, World War II is what I'm talking about.
Oh shit. Okay, that's just 20 years early. My bad.
They actually used steel from 9/11 from the Twin Towers, and they put it into this ship.
Way to curse a ship, for crying out loud, dude.
They used to do this when they would defeat an army a long time ago. They would take the defeated army's cannons and they would melt them down, and they would build a ship out of it. They would use the cannons to put in for the ballast of the ship, or
Sure.
Because you're taking the magic of that army and you're putting it into your army, and the whole defeat over that army.
Right, it holds the occult. It holds power. Yeah.
Steel from 9/11 into his aircraft carrier.
That is bad juju. I wouldn't want to be on that aircraft carrier for any.
Depends on who's your enemy,
Yeah, well, the enemy is yourself then, right?
I think that we have to look out for invisible enemies.
Yes, we were told. The invisible enemy.
I got a tip. Watch out for land sharks. And Winup says, Snake, please start writing a journal for your children by hand and protect it. And I couldn't agree more. Thank you for that, Ann.
If as long as there's an invisible enemy, then there's no way to say whether you've won or lost.
Correct.
If there's an invisible enemy, then there's invisible battles and there's invisible casualties.
Which is where we're at right now with the information war, military industrial information technology.
I fear that that's where they're going to get us. I mean, they can't drag terrorism on forever because it's hard to get people to blow up Starbucks. But they can say Starbucks
not in Portland and Seattle, but
and the grocery store could kill you. Yeah, but I'm still going to go to Starbucks because I don't live in Portland anymore.
No, I get it, because we don't have good coffee.
If there's something,
the coffee shops are closed anyway. The good ones.
I can't see it, and I'm going to be scared.
S90. Would you be interested in buying some cloud insurance? That's brilliant. Oh man, that's amazing.
Guys, I gotta go feed my chickens.
Okay. We're gonna wrap. We're good for 2 hours. Everybody, we thank you so much for joining us. Sorry, young Gregory could not make it. Like we said, he's at a Bentley dealership shooting Kim Kardashian-esque models.
Nice. I love photography of swarthy witches, swarthy Middle Eastern witches.
Right. He and Marina Abramovich are working on some projects too. Is that oh my God, that looks like Annabelle. Is that don't tell me, is that an English pointer or Jack Russell part?
Jack Russell. He's a Jack Russell.
Rat Terrier. It looks like Rat Terrier mixed with Jack Russell.
Yeah.
Or pure. Okay.
I used to have a Border Collie. Best dog. And
I miss my Annabelle, dude.
He ate my mushrooms.
He ate your mushrooms?
No,
yes.
Those mushrooms.
Oyster mushrooms, man. He likes
that dog's wigging balls, man.
Look at him. He's like,
right.
What's the
dog's name? What's the pup's name? Snake?
Leo.
Leonard, I love it.
That's a
solid ass name, right? That's a solid name.
He was on Murder Mountain with us, man. He's fierce.
Speaking of Ben, I got to get in touch with Ben Balderson again. I got to try. Should I just call him? I'll try calling him. He seems to be active again.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, okay, cool. All right. Everybody, thank you so much for joining us. Everybody in the chat, it was a great show, and we really appreciate it. And like I said, we'll be back at y'all sooner than later, midweek. We are going to do a midweek. I know I keep saying that every fucking Saturday, but we will.
And take care of your children out there.
Yes.
America.
Take care of your kids.
They're what?
Feed them.
What's going to save us?
Homeschool, feed them. Or
find
if you
a nice teacher to homeschool your group.
And also, we got Kevin saying one more thing here. Hey, if any of you guys could drop by the Davy Croco Discord, that would be fun. Okay, send a link, Kevin. I'll put my email in the chat for anybody that wants to, and anybody else that wants to get in on that. I'm sure it's good. Evan's promoting it. All right, everybody. Have a beautiful evening, and we will see you guys next week or in a couple days. Who knows? All right. Cheers.
Cheers.
Okay, hold on, guys. Hold on.